Yeah, so as women in general, whether we are black, white, Asian, Hispanic, indigenous, we don't usually say we want to run for office. You can see me, I'm an immigrant, I'm a woman, I'm a black woman, immigrant, and also a Muslim woman. We have at least over a dozen immigrant elected officials in the state of Maine. They are grateful, they are happy, and they are asking what can we do back home in Somalia, how we can change policies, how can the politics in Somalia can be, resonate what we have here in the United States, the democracy that we have. So hopefully we will be able to help our country, our former country, Somalia, and show what we can do here can be also built into other countries that we left a long time ago.
The whistleblower is now accusing a contractor in Maine of defrauding taxpayers out of millions of dollars over the course of 7 years. The business at the center of the allegations, founded by a Somali-American.
His name is Abdullahi Ali. In an interview with Kenyan media, openly discussed contributing money back to Somalia and paramilitary forces.
Remember when we thought Minnesota was the final boss when it came to welfare fraud? Billions missing, politicians pretending it's just some paperwork errors. Ilhan Omar is going on TV talking about, I don't know what you're talking about.
Do you want to respond to that? Do you know what he is referring to?
I really don't, and I don't think the secretary himself understands what he's referring to.
Well, now Maine just walked into the building. We've got Medicaid money, a Somali-American nonprofit, a whistleblower who got fired, and a CEO who bragged on TV about sending money overseas to buy bullets. I am not making this up. So in this video, we're going to talk about how Maine might be building its own mini Minnesota scandal, how the same red flags, the same political fears, and how the same don't rock the boat leadership are letting this stuff grow out of control. If Minnesota was the test run, Maine might be season 2. Let's get into it. If you're new here, let me give you the short version. Minnesota allegedly let over $1 billion in fake programs slide. Fake meal sites, fake autism services, fake housing. Whistleblowers tried to sound the alarm. They said Tim Walz ignored them, punished them, and acted shocked when the feds showed up. We've talked about how the fraud was so big that the fake claims outnumbered the real ones. A lot of scammers were tied into the Somali community in Minnesota, and instead of dealing with it straight up, politicians hid behind the don't demonize the whole community talking points. And also we broke down how Ilhan Omar on Face the Nation doing the Olympics of deflection, acting like she didn't know what investigators were even talking about, and saying how if any money went to terrorism, well, that's really FBI's fault. So that's Minnesota. Billions missing, national security questions, and leadership hiding behind optics. Cool. Now let's hop over to Maine. Maine is a really small state, not a huge population, not a huge budget. I'm sure you guys already know that. But they do have a program called MaineCare. That's their version of Medicaid, health coverage for low-income people, seniors, disabled folks. So this is supposed to be money for the most vulnerable people in the state. Enter a group called Gateway Community Services. On paper, it's a Somali-American-led nonprofit contractor that provides mental health and community services. In reality, according to the whistleblower who worked there for 7 years, things look a lot different.
As the Treasury Department investigates whether tax dollars from a public assistance program in Minnesota were funneled to a terror group based in Somalia. A whistleblower tells News Nation that taxpayers have been bilked out of millions of dollars from Maine's Medicaid program, and he says when he tried to bring it to light, he was fired.
Chris Bernardini spent 7 years working for Gateway Community Services, a Somali-American-led health services contractor in Maine. Bernardini alleges Gateway oversaw a system in which false records were filed about client visits, and he says they charged taxpayers for providing services that were never performed.
We started getting some clients calling and saying, months later that their client owed them hours. They hadn't come in for these shifts and stuff. But I had a time card for it.
And they were billing for it.
They were billing for it.
This whistleblower worked at Gateway for years. He said he started noticing stuff like fake time sheets, fake visit logs, people getting paid for client visits that never happened. Clients call in and say, hey, no one came to see me, but the system shows billed hours anyway. The state did one audit on a random sample of records from 2017 to 2018 and found about $900,000 in bogus billing right there.
Gateway received a notice of violation from the state's MaineCare Services Program Integrity Unit based on an audit of records taken at random from January 2017 through December of 2018. Gateway overbilled by an estimated $904,000.
In your professional opinion, what you saw was fraud?
Absolute.
No doubt about it.
No doubt about it.
Now pause. If a random sample from a couple of years ago shows almost $1 million in bad billing, what do you think is hiding in all the years that they didn't check? According to him, it even got worse during COVID. He said people were getting $2,000 bonuses even though they barely worked, if at all. So he did what we say we want people to do. He tried to report it. Back in April 2024, he reached out to the Department of Homeland Security asking for whistleblower protection. Of course, the DHS kicked it back to the state. Fast forward almost a year later, he's not getting a medal, he's getting fired. So I wonder if you see that pattern yet.
I can't believe I took so much of my time and put so much of my life into this agency that just tossed me aside. It's caused me to reflect a lot and, try to trust my gut more and speak up more when I see something.
Now, the head of this group is a person by the name of Abdullahi Ali. He's not just some random administrator. He is a Somali-American leader in Maine. He actually ran for president in a region in Somalia. Now he's running for office back home. Cool. That's his right. The problem is what he said in an interview with media overseas. He talked about the money that he sends back home. He bragged about the funds helping to buy bullets, food, support forces on the ground in the political conflict.
In the interview, first reported by the Maine Wire back in March, Abdullahi Ali posted to his own presidential media page this interview. We had it translated. Here's what he said.
When I was away and abroad, the financial contributions I was sending back were being used to support the forces for buying bullets, ammunition, and food.
Last week, Abdullahi Ali posted this on X. I make no apologies for building a successful business in Maine, working hard to earn a living, earning my PhD, giving back to my Maine community, and running for office in Jubaland. I am proud to contribute my hard-earned dollars to support my people back home. Now, we reached out to Ali for comment multiple times. We even came to Gateway to try and speak with him. Hello, I'm with News Nation. My name is... No comment? Is Mr. Ali here? Can we speak with Mr. Ali?
So now you have to ask this question. If a nonprofit in Maine is overbilling Medicaid, and then the same leader is bragging about sending that money to fund armed groups overseas, where do you think some of that money came from? We don't know the full paper trail yet, but we know this. The state already found hundreds of thousands of dollars missing in bad billing. The group kept getting paid. The CEO is out there talking about buying bullets in Somalia. You don't have to be a detective to see why people are saying, hold up. Are American Medicaid dollars being turned into ammo in another country? Even if it's just a few dollars, the principle is just insane. Imagine working your whole life, paying taxes, and finding out your money skipped your local seniors and went to buy guns in someone else's civil conflict. That sounds pretty terrible.
Republican State Senator Matt Harrington here has demanded an investigation from Governor Janet Mills. Now, we've reached out to Governor Janet Mills multiple times. We've also reached out to the head of Health and Human Services here. We've also reached out to the 3 Democratic members of the House here. Nobody will speak to us, Nicole.
Now let's talk about Maine leadership. On this channel, we've talked about the Maine governor for a while now. She has a lot of shady dealings herself, but now a Republican state senator in Maine is now calling for a full investigation. He's saying what a lot of us are thinking. How did this go on for so long? And why did it take a TV segment and a whistleblower getting fired before anybody at the top wanted to talk? You got the Mills administration, you have the state health department, you have lawmakers who love taking pictures and talking about how inclusive everything is. And now that there are serious questions, suddenly everyone is quiet. Back in Minnesota, we saw whistleblowers ignored, people reassigned, oversight delayed, and leaders more worried about looking anti-immigrant than stopping fraud. Now in Maine, you have the Somali-American led contractor accused of ripping off Medicaid. The same political fear is in the air. If we push too hard, will we get called racist? Will we lose votes? Will activists come after us? Let me be crystal clear, like I was when I was talking about the Minnesota situation. No one is saying that every Somalian immigrant is out there scamming. When leaders treat certain groups as untouchable, it creates a safe zone, a safe space for scammers and frauds, because they know you're too scared to check. You too scared to hold anyone accountable, so they get to do whatever they want and steal potentially $1 billion. So you can put the pieces next to each other. In Minnesota, we saw the fake food programs, the fake housing, the fake autism therapy in billions that might even hit $8 billion by the time investigators are done. And then you see in Maine, we have Medicaid overbilling, a whistleblower being fired, a CEO talking about sending money overseas. In both states, a lot of these groups involved are tied to the same community. In both states, leadership seems to be more scared of the headlines than honoring the people that actually pay the taxes. When you protect optics more than you protect oversight, you're not being progressive, you're being negligent. What these politicians are saying is we rather let the money get stolen than risk someone calling us a mean name on Twitter. It's not just gonna hurt the taxpayers, it hurts the innocent people in the Somali community who now have to live under the whole cloud of everyone's a scammer. The honest people didn't steal the money, the scammers and frauds did. But when politicians refuse to act early, the scandal grows so big it's going to taint everybody. So what should happen now? At the bare minimum, a full independent audit of every dollar that went through Gateway and similar contractors. Whistleblower protections with teeth. People should not lose their jobs for telling the truth. And we all need a public timeline. Who knew what and when did they know it? And if any of this money did end up funding armed groups overseas, that's not just fraud, that's a national security issue. If it turns out people in power knew, saw the red flags, and stayed quiet because they didn't want to upset a voting bloc, they didn't just lose their jobs, they should be losing their careers. This is the problem when people abuse generosity and they abuse the programs, and then you have politicians looking the other way. It's a failure of leadership, a failure of oversight, and a failure of basic common sense. Minnesota just showed us what happens when you let this run wild. Now Maine is moving up the same road. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of weeks with this situation here. Let me know what you guys think about this situation in the comments below. Also, you can check out my second channel, already past 1,000 subscribers, just on a handful of videos. Really appreciate everyone's support, not just subscribing, but actually watching the content. I appreciate all of you. But let me know what you guys think about this story in the comments below. Thank you for taking time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.